Postman, and so I was firing up my API deployment public workspace and making sure I had a collection ready for my talk. This is my public workspace for keeping all my collections that I build, which will allow me to deploy APIs. The one I'm going to be working with here is using DynamoDB. So I have this collection defined. It's got 10 steps, and it'll deploy an API. I have a separate environment that is deploying using DynamoDB here that I'm using, and it will store all. It has my Postman API keys, as well as it will store all data from each step of this until I actually can make an API call here at the end. So what we'll do is just walk through this collection step by step manually here and show how it works, and just kind of talk through each step. So the first one is it pulls the actual OpenAPI. So this is pulling this OpenAPI here. So if I load this up, click on the Define tab, I get an OpenAPI definition for my products API. And so all I'm doing with this request is pulling using the Postman API. I'm pulling the products API version 1.0. You got to specify the version because you can have multiple versions with Postman. So when I hit send on this, it's just going to hit the Postman API and pull down the Open API from my products API. And it's going to store it here in the environment. So I don't have to make that call with each step because I'm going to need it at multiple steps here along the way. So now we have an Open API. I'm going to pull the schema from the table, from the Open API, and then I'm going to publish a table to AWS DynamoDB with this call. So this basically creates the table using the schema name. And then there's some steps you've got to make now that we have a table to create AWS API Gateway vendor extensions for the Open API that bind it to that table that we created. So I'm going to run this, and this just pulls the Open API here, creates those vendor extensions that bind it to DynamoDB, and gets it ready for publishing. The next step is actually publishing that Open API to the AWS API Gateway, and it runs here, creating it. And then the next step is you got to actually deploy it to a stage. So we're going to deploy it to a stage we're calling development, because we're just developing. So our stage is created. Now we also need a usage plan, because we're not just going to open this up to the public, and we want to create a plan that has some basic capabilities, and we submit that here, and we get a usage plan. And every step along the way, when we create the API, we create the stage, create the usage plan, we're storing that data here in the environment so that we can use it in the next step. So now we need a key. So let's create an API key. And then we're going to add that key to the usage plan. Now we should have a working API. The next one is to actually call our API. And so let's hit send and see what it says. So it gives us a forbidden. Sometimes it takes just a little bit before it'll actually fire up to actually provision every bit of this till we get it. So we can just do a retry. Oh, there we go. We got an empty API, an empty array here that doesn't show anything. So step 10 is to actually add an entry to the API. We have a body here with a product in it. Let's tell I've been doing this a couple times. So product 1, this is identifier and the name, and this is the description for product 1. So we're going to hit send. And then let's go back to our step 9, pull, and we've got our product 1 added to the table. So with that, we have a functioning API deployed on Amazon with 10 steps. Now I'm going to close up all these tabs that I've got open because I manually ran everything. Let's can save that. There's my OpenAPI. All right. So we got it whittled down again. Now I happen to have this other collection that's called Remove API. So what this will do is it'll actually remove everything that we just built, because I want to rerun this and show this done in another way. But let's, before we do this, let's actually look at AWS API Gateway, because here's the actual console. We hit refresh. Here's our products database with our endpoints from the OpenAPI. And if we go to the DynamoDB, here's our products table where we're actually storing that. And that's it actually functioning. So now we should be able to run this. Let's just go ahead and run this as a runner instead of, so I'm going to run all of these at once to remove everything we just created, because I want to basically clean it up and start over. So let's go ahead and hit run, and it's basically running each step, and it's done. So now if I go back to the AWS and I click on APIs, I don't see my API anymore. Hit refresh. I don't see my API anymore. Let's go to DynamoDB. Let's hit refresh. I don't have a table here. All right. So now this time I want to run it similar to as I ran my remove. Is I want to just run this as a runner. I don't want to run each step manually. So I just click on the name of the collection here, hit run. It's got all my steps. I'm going to just go ahead and hit run, and it's just going to loop through and deploy my database and deploy my API, deploy my plan, deploy my key. And it doesn't look like the last two ran, but that's because we it takes some time. So I could clean that up with a little retry so that it would just keep retrying this like every X seconds until it got a successful, and then it could run this and maybe run that again. So that's a little bit of refinement I could make on it, but let's actually just go try to run that now. And we get an empty, and we hit add. We go back, run that one again, and we get our product one in there. So that gives us an actual functioning API with a single collection that we can deploy. And this could be deployed against any OpenAPI if that you have defined, and you can pull by name any version. Now it is only DynamoDB, so it's key value, and it's pretty, it makes some assumptions about the OpenAPI that it's pretty simple. It's not a very complex API, single structure, doesn't go to any of the objects. So, but it shows what's possible. It shows that you can build collections that deploy APIs using your existing infrastructure. It's all here in this public workspace, API Evangelist workspace deployment. You can find it by searching in the API network as well. But hopefully it shows you what's possible. But let's actually go look, make sure it deployed our database. So there's our table. And let's make sure it actually deployed our API, and there's our API. So we should be pretty good to go when it comes to deployment and showing what's possible. I'll write up a story about this and publish it along with the video. All right.